So, from the outside, your life may look okay, right? You might be going to work, showing up, paying your bills, cleaning the bathroom, doing what you're supposed to do, but something inside feels off, right? You woke up tired even though you had a good night's sleep. Small things start getting on your nerves. You feel like flat during moments that you should feel fine. You keep thinking, my life is fine, so why don't I feel fine? If you've been asking yourself, why do I feel so off when my life seemingly is fine? You're in the place you probably should be, especially in today when up is down, down is up, left is right. You know what I mean? Everything is confusing these days. I'm going to break down why this happens, what it means, and what you can do to move yourself beyond this. Feeling off doesn't mean always that something is badly wrong. Sometimes it can just mean, more often than not, it means that there's just a part of you that you're ignoring. Um, you don't need like a full-on crisis to feel disconnected. You don't need to earn your pain by having that uh, hard-looking life. You can be grateful and still feel unhappy. It's like everything again looks great on paper. There's money in the bank, there's food in the fridge, your house is kind of picked up. It's just, you just don't feel great. So, what does feeling off actually look like? Well, feeling off, it's kind of vague on purpose. Just you can't fix something until you identify what it is. So, like you don't exactly feel bad, but maybe you're a little more irritable than usual, more restless, feeling like in a rut, disconnected, or maybe you just have an overwhelming sense of feeling heavy. You know what I mean? Some common signs are like you going through the motions, get up, chop wood, carry water, get the kids to school. Um, Sometimes you feel like this low, dreaded feeling for no clear reason. You just can't seem to relax, even when nothing's wrong. So it's like if you ever walked in my house and all the rooms were clean at the same time, you would know that I'm like anxious, restless, because I organize and clean when I'm restless. If you're feeling like things that used to excite you, they leave you meh these days. If you keep distracting yourself because silence feels uncomfortable, if you feel numb instead of upset, these are all signs. You could have a great job and still feel trapped. You can have people around you and still feel alone. You can be totally productive and still feel empty at the end of the day. You can hit your goals, check off everything on the list, and still you don't feel right. Many people build a life on what seems sensible, not what feels true to them. You may have learned to choose safety over meaning. Um, Maybe the habits that you use to survive are still ruling your life today. Um, I know I feel restless just because my country and globally, everything is a mess. And it's very, very upsetting to me. This is why do I feel off when my life is fine is such a common thought. The outside view misses how we are inside, and that's not good. So, the cause of why you're feeling off is usually not obvious. People expect to be able to just see this problem and find the solution, but it's not always like that. You may have gotten very good at functioning, but not at feeling. If you push down stress long enough, just plow through it, your body still responds. Your body is very well keeping score. Um, Burnout doesn't have to be dramatic. It isn't always a collapse. Sometimes it manifests as being cynical or low energy. I hear the words brain fog a lot lately, and and that you just don't care about things like you used to. I ran on for years that you can't hit a moving target. A packed schedule can hide a whole bunch of emptiness. Being busy can help you notice what's missing. And a lot of us prefer to just plow through and not take a look because once we know, we can't unknow. And the next step should be fixing it, which isn't always easy. You may simply be living a version of your life that you've outgrown. I mean, let's face it, what fit you at 22 may not fit you today. Even if your life looks stable now, somewhere you could still be thinking, I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop. I lived that way for a long time, and that's not fun. You can be surrounded by people and still feel alone, and people don't understand that. But if you only have like a loose connection with these people, of course you're going to still feel alone. It's not like sitting with your BFF in your jammies, right? If you're like most people and trying to figure out why you don't feel optimal, you might be in the trap of overthinking everything to death. That's not a good, it's not a good plan to say, well, I'm just going to think harder. I'm just going to think harder about this. It's not a good plan because the only feedback you have is your own feedback. You cover every choice you have, every flaw. But again, the only feedback you have is you. Another trap of overthinking is to a lot of people, it feels productive. Well, I just haven't figured it out yet, but I will. But really, it's just a loop going round and round and round. Your mind is asking for certainty, and your life is staying the same, and you're not getting any closer. Some common thought patterns are, well, what am I whining for? So many people have it worse than I do. Maybe I'm not grateful enough. Maybe I just need to try harder. Maybe this is normal and I should stop making a big deal about it. The more you judge that feeling, the harder it's going to be to try to hear what you're trying to say. Um, the more you judge the feeling, the harder it's going to be to hear what you're trying to say. Insight matters. Action's what changes things. Action. Don't sit around waiting until you feel motivated. Action, by taking the teeniest little action, will in fact motivate you. So you certainly don't need to blow up your whole life. Just adjusting a few things usually makes a world of difference. Sometimes you're just living on autopilot. I know that doesn't work for me. Um, it just may be how you're living. Most of us don't live in a silo, so consider that your routines, your boundaries, your pace, and all those relationships you have may be impacting how you feel. Yeah, but well, what do you mean? Well, a stable job that pays well, it can still drain you if it like clashes with your values, right? A healthy relationship can feel distance if you're not honest and if you're always hiding your feelings. A full calendar can leave you lonely if none of it feels nourishing, right? You can do busy work all day long and feel unfulfilled. I've always say to people, if you want something different, you have to do something different because nothing changes if nothing changes, right? So then, what actually works when you're stuck? Well, first of all, you don't need a perfect plan tied with a ribbon. No, you don't need honest data from writing and researching. You just need small, consistent changes. Remember, you're not going to think this through. You're going to use action and you're going to try some of these things. Try changing one part of your routine for 1 week. Drive down a different road to work. Use your non-dominant hand to brush your teeth. I know these things sound insane and they help. Spend time in a place that makes you feel like yourself. If you, what, love to go to art museum, yes, you can afford a half hour on a lunch break or something like that. You really can. Try saying no when you'd usually say yes, or yes when you'd usually say no. Try putting your phone away for an hour. Write down what drains you and what gives you energy. Then you can see it, right? Go to a new place. Take a walk in a different area than you used to. Something as small and seemingly as insignificant as brushing your teeth with your non-dominant hand or writing your name with your non-dominant hand, what that does neurologically is it breaks up the pattern. I use neurographic art in a lot of what I teach, and it's because it breaks up the patterns, and patterns are what keep us stuck, right? Tiny actions are what break the loop or the patterns. And remember, clarity doesn't come from thinking, it comes from taking that little step. A lot of us love to be alone. A lot of us love people. What helps enormously is to bring in a community. When you're in a community of people that all have the same ideas or goals, that really matters. Think of like in the old days when they had Weight Watchers and, of course, Alcoholics Anonymous. It's when a bunch of like-minded people get together with a singleness of purpose, right? What could feel better? Because when you're alone in your own head, you're convinced that your thoughts are facts. And that isn't necessarily true. You have no feedback except your own loop. What's really cool about communities is when you're around people who are growing in the same direction, it helps you see new options, right? It gives you support when your motivation falls, and it will. It's for those reasons that Weight Watchers and 12-step programs work. You might find this community in a therapy group, a support group, a class, a faith community. I just read that Catholic churches are seeing more membership now because people are saying they feel so disoriented with the world being funky right now that they're craving community. Maybe you find it in your gym, in a fitness circle, or a knitting circle, or an online space with real accountability, not a Facebook group that you can hide in. A real, yeah, you know what I mean. Not to say that finding the right group is the magic elixir. It's not going to just magically fix your life, but it can stop the spiraling. It can break the pattern. Feeling better often starts by making a commitment, not a burst of motivation. I was in a space a few months ago and I couldn't easily get out of it. So I thought, what am I going to do? And so I joined a kind of a random class. I opened a book at the rec department and my finger landed on Tai Chi, and I thought, huh, that's interesting. Oh, but that's really going to be too slow. I like faster stuff. But I said, you know what? It's different. Just take it. All you have to do is make a commitment to show up. It's like 8 weeks. Just that's all you have to do is make a commitment and show up to the first class. And you know what? I did that. And I did it to every class I could go to. So I missed one, and that was fine with me. In my book, I passed my test. I made a commitment. I stuck with it, not perfectly. It doesn't have, there is no perfect. What the bottom line is for me is it broke the pattern. And I didn't instantly feel better, but within like a matter of days, I started feeling better. And I'm back in my game now. So, how did I do that? Well, I just said I'm going to make a commitment because I know this. I know this. I teach this. Um, um, I was lucky. The mood to go to this class was usually present. So I didn't have that problem. But a lot of times it's when you feel like blowing the class off, but you have that commitment, you usually follow through because of that commitment. And the more you show up for these healthy things you're doing, the more you'll trust enough in this process that you will stick with it. Um, Hopefully, the habit of stopping when you don't want to follow through will lift as well. Know the difference between like your mood and your commitment. I mean, let's face it, some days you'll feel inspired, other days you won't. And what's going to get you to show up when you do not feel inspired is the commitment. And the point is, you will learn is just keep moving forward, and you're going to feel better. For example, my goal every single day is peace, peace above all else. And I have this thing that I say, let there be peace. Let peace begin with me. If peace is my goal, then I have to practice peace. So for me, that means less chaos, um, saying no when I mean no and yes when I mean yes, and just overall more honest choices. One of the reasons we overthink everything to death is because we're looking for specific ideas, reasons, paths that we are accustomed to using. Start thinking creatively. Most problems have creative solutions. And again, if you're in that support system, someone will think of it. And once you start seeing that creative paths work, you will start looking for creative paths. For example, if more than one friend gives you the same advice, maybe it's time to talk to your coach or a therapist. Switch how you structure your day. Get rid of one draining thing that you have to do during the day. For me, my mind races a lot. I'm like a type A personality, and later on in the evening when I'm trying to slow down, I have to like use my hands to doing something, whether it's drawing, crocheting, whatever. When my hands are busy, my mind frees up. Introduce something new, one tiny thing new, because when you repeat the same patterns, It's not fair to expect a new feeling. You're just going to, repeating patterns, you're going to repeat your feelings. So I told you the overthinking is just a loop. However, reflection, honest reflection, can help. So what does that look like? Well, here are some things to ask yourself. Where do you feel most during the day like you're pretending? What part of your life feels heavy? What have you outgrown? You know what you've outgrown, but you're still doing it. Why are you still doing it? Why are you tolerating the stuff that keeps draining you? You know that every time you see that person, she just sucks the life out of you. Why do you keep doing it? Ask yourself when you feel most alive. Who who that you are with, I sound like an owl, that makes you feel safe. Out of all those things, one of them had to resonate, is what I'm thinking. Act on one of them. Take a little step. Sometimes the friction you're feeling can be more than stress or misalignment, and you may need extra help. So if you feel numb most days, or if you've had a big increase or decrease in your appetite, if you constantly feel dread, if you just don't enjoy anything, if you are using food, alcohol, shopping, scrolling, and that's preventing you from moving forward, if certainly if you're having thoughts of harming yourself, please, I urge you to reach out to a medical professional. Support is not overreacting. It makes you wise. So remember, a life that looks fine can still feel wrong when it doesn't fit who you are today. It's often a signal that something needs care. So if you've been feeling, why do I feel off when my life is fine? Take that feeling seriously. Usually, just with a few tweaks, you can change that. Remember, action. Don't wait for motivation. Don't just sit in that loop. Change one little thing. Find your people. Commit to your goal. Try a new way forward. These are the things we do in MindSketch Lab with neurographic art, which is not for artists. It's just drawing curvy lines and shapes. It's where I teach the Artist Way Reimagined using Julia Cameron's best-selling book, The Artist Way. I'll leave the link below and you can read about it and see if it might be a good fit for you. Bye for now.